Hi, I've been wanting to talk about the double masculine animal and the double feminine animal and how I'm seeing them in me, the interplay between them. Also, the inner monologue. A lot of people in the community have been talking about it a lot lately. Dave and Shan have made some videos on it, and I've maybe mentioned on here, I don't know, that I have an inner monologue. It's constantly going. It's going like 100 miles an hour. So, but what I've noticed is that my blast, which is my double feminine animal, it's NF, so introverted intuition and extroverted feeling. I'm blasting in my head all the time. My consume is the double masculine, so ST, extrovert sensing and introverted thinking, double masculine. So I'm blasting in my head, but I'm also consuming it because I'm saying it in my head, hearing it. And these words don't really apply when it's all in your head, but let's say hearing it, and then I'm processing. So sleep, NT, puzzling what I've said, what I've heard I said. It's like, does that make sense? So kind of the interplay of all the animals. I guess play would be in there as well. And that's a iterative process that I'm doing constantly all day. Depending on what thought just arises in my head, maybe I heard something or remembered an earlier conversation or something I heard earlier, or just something I've dredged up from my memories of something that I haven't really processed, and I start thinking about it, and this process happens. I think what I've always called my inner monologue is that process. It's not this critical, self-talk where you're saying things. I don't do any of that negative self-talk kind of stuff. This is all trying to understand what I think. I've learned that the process of this is the outcome of it is I realize that's what I think about whatever. And it's tentative, but it's in this moment based on having done this process. I arrive at this is what I think. And so the difficulty there is with the NF being double feminine, which is like hippy dippy, guru, bullshit. Not good on the facts, wishy washy. But then my double masculine ST consume takes in what the NF blast is saying and says, wait a minute, this is bullshit. You need to fix that because that's not accurate. So then I puzzle out how to tweak that with the NT sleep. It's like, okay, wait, if we need to change this, it needs to, and then I re-blast it in my head. Like consume again, the critic. It's like, wait a minute, this still isn't right. You don't believe that at all. What you just said. So, okay, then change that a little bit more, or scrap it, start over. This process is constantly going. Now, it occurred to me, this is a lot of processing going on, a lot of work, and it's always happening in my head. So, and the result of this is I know what I think. So it's like, okay, how are other people coming to the realization of what they think? Clearly, other people aren't doing all this work that I'm doing. I don't know the process of how I got to the point where I'm doing that all the time. I don't know that I was always doing it that way, although it's certainly been happening for the past at least 10 years, probably 15, maybe 20. And I don't know about earlier than that. I don't think it was as at the level that it is now, but when I've studied meditation and stuff, they talk about monkey mind, or you got this busy mind going crazy all the time. That really resonated with me because I do that all the time, and that was one of the difficulties of learning how to meditate is quieting the mind. So I can purposefully stop all that craziness to meditate. I can see my brain wanting to do that and just letting it not do that, but that takes a lot of effort. Although it shouldn't be effort, but it is a challenge to stop doing it. And I'm not purposely doing it. Throughout the day, I'm constantly doing it. It's not intentional. But so I guess the point of talking about this is to try to understand, how do other people arrive at what they think, because I know that everybody's not doing this process. It's like the interplay of all the animals inside my head, and the goal of which is to get clarity on what I think. So I'm sure other people aren't doing all of that. They're doing something, but what is the question I have. So I just wanted to talk about it because I know a lot of people are talking about the inner monologue. Is that even an inner monologue? Because I'm kind of thinking when people are talking about an inner monologue, they're talking about something else, I think. So maybe I don't have an inner monologue, but I have this other thing, which is me trying to figure out what I think. Because I'll hear people talk about that negative self-talk where they're being hypercritical of themselves and stuff like that. I don't ever do that. That's not something I do. I'll do that process I just talked about where I'm thinking about, okay, I did this thing. I said this, I'll NT try to understand what happened and then come up with what I think about what happened. But yeah, so that's different. So if you have an inner monologue, what is it like? You're not doing probably what I'm doing, maybe, or if you are, I'd like to know that. How do you arrive at what you think? Are you doing something similar? I guess if you have different functions and all that, that would be completely different. But are you doing something similar to like understand how you think, like what you think? I'm very curious about that, because if there were some way I could, because this is a lot of work, this is a lot of processing going on. If there was a way I could hone that down to a more simple way of arriving at what you think that doesn't require all that effort, that would be very beneficial. I'd like to know what that is, how to do it. Maybe somebody could point me in the right direction. I don't even know where to begin. So it'd be interesting for me to hear other people talk about what they do. How do they arrive at what they think? What is your inner monologue like? Is it similar to mine? Or do you have a lot of negative self-talk? Are you always battling that? I just like to understand this stuff a little better if you kind of relate to some of it. So leave a comment. Tell me what you think. Any thoughts you have on this, I'd love to hear it. And I'll respond. And I appreciate you watching the video and taking the time. Thanks. Bye-bye.